Hello, my wonderful, beautiful friends. Welcome back to another episode of r/EntitledPeople, where you come to hear stories about people who seem to think that the world revolves around them. Guys, I hope you're having another good day today. And in this episode, you'll hear some more outrageous stories. So sit back, kick your feet up, and get ready to shake your heads. Oh, and do hit that subscribe button for future stories, guys. Let's dive in. So, I work in a hospital, and I was pretty well known around our unit for the cakes I make. Everyone really enjoys them, and I get requests often. They usually take me a bit of time, so I don't just give them away for free to people outside my family. Now, I've had numerous people asking me to please make one for the holiday potluck, and I agreed since it's the holidays. I asked around about flavor preferences and food allergies, and made one that seemed to meet all the criteria. I brought it in and left it with all the other potluck items. So people apparently pounced on it right away, and it was very popular. It was all gone in under an hour. Now, I was flattered by how quickly it went. Unfortunately, one of the nurses who had pestered me the most to bring the cake got there too late, and it was gone. She came by my office and asked where the cake was, and I said the cake was gone and was eaten already. She got so upset. She told me I should have cut a piece for her and saved it because she wanted it more than everybody else. I told her if she wanted it so badly, she should have gone and grabbed a piece herself when we put the food out. At this point, she storms off, and I didn't really think more about it. Well, 2 days later, I get called into a meeting by my manager saying a safety report was filed against me by that nurse because I failed to supervise the disbursement of the cake, and that I also allowed people to take multiple pieces of the cake before others had a chance to have a piece. So in the section for how this safety event could have been avoided, she wrote that I should have baked multiple cakes, enough to feed at least double the number of people working to allow for seconds, at least 50 to 60 pieces of cake. She also wrote that since I baked the cake, I should have stayed with the cakes until they were completely dispersed, and it was my responsibility to make multiple announcements to inform people that the cakes were available and make sure everybody's gotten a piece. And lastly, she wrote that I should have pre-cut the cake into acceptable size servings. She then specified that they should have been cut in 3-inch squares, and saved pieces for those who most wanted the cake. Now, I couldn't believe that she used a hospital safety report for a damn cake. I informed my manager that this would never be a problem again because I will never bake another cake for the unit again. Guys, what an absolute ridiculous thing to be written up for. Imagine that, getting a safety report filed against you because a person felt that they were so entitled to having some of your cake. OP should have told the manager, well, following my coworker's safety reports, I don't think I can trust her judgment regarding patient care anymore and the management of medical issues. So with that ridiculous report, I would have assumed she would have gotten reprimanded or something, but OP came back and said, believe it or not, she wasn't. The manager actually said they didn't want to discourage people from reporting a perceived safety issue. I told her it would have been more of a safety issue if the only medical provider for an ICU sat with a cake and supervised its dispersal instead of taking care of critically ill people. Ain't that the truth? So recently, I picked up a second job at a gas station, working late nights to try to pay off some debts and save for college. It was fine, nothing too ridiculous, just some obviously high people coming in at 3 a.m, or people getting kinda pissy that our pumps are prepay only. No crazies, until last night. So it's about 10 p.m. and I had just started my shift. An older woman, maybe 45-ish, comes in with a guy who's around my age, 24. It turns out it's her son, who's tagging along with his mom to pick up some cigarettes. He comes to the counter while his mom wanders around getting snacks. We have a bit of chatter between us while I get the pack of smokes that he asked for. He then rummages around his pants pocket and holds out a fistful of coins to pay for it. Now, I'm a little annoyed by this, but the customer service smile stays strong, and I hold out my hand to take the coins. He immediately drops them on the counter, deliberately missing my hand and causing the coins to scatter everywhere, onto the floor as well. He's got this huge smile on his face and just goes, "Oh, sorry, my hand is sweaty. You won't have a problem picking up all those off the floor, will you?" Ugh. I start picking them up because they're all over the floor behind the register. He watches me bend over a few times and I know he's staring, but whatever. I'm just gonna get these stupid quarters and get his gross ass out of here. Now, as I bend over to pick up the last of the coins, he says the grossest thing I've ever had said to me. He says, "You've got really good hips. A girl like you would definitely be able to birth my kids." I was stunned. The customer service smile disappears from my face, and I stand up straight, leaving the coins on the ground and pushing what I'd gathered across the counter at him. I told him that was absolutely unacceptable and you need to leave. He keeps that smile on his face while he says, "I can't, my mom's my ride." I notice her coming up to the counter with her chips and whatever, and I tell her that her son's being inappropriate and that they both need to leave. She plops her stuff on the counter and says, "No, I don't. I don't need to do anything. It's your fault because you dress like that. Just ring this up." She then rolls her eyes at me. I refuse. I'm both embarrassed and pissed, and I'm alone in the store. I feel a bit scared for my safety with these two idiots in the store with me, so I totally feel justified in making them leave. Now at this point, maybe I acted out of emotion more than reason, but I snatch up the store phone and threaten to call 911. The mom doesn't even blink. She gives me a look and says, "Ugh, you're overreacting. Did he touch you? Stop being so dramatic. He isn't doing anything. You are being racist. Call the police. They'll just lock you up for a hate crime." Now, I'm hella white and these two were not. I'm about ready to resign myself to just checking them out and cutting my losses, but then this weirdo opens his mouth again and he says, "I'll take the smokes for free because you've been so rude." Now, if this idiot leaves with the smokes, I'll have to file a report and it'll be a crapshoot. That snaps me out of being nervous, and I tell them both that I'm calling the police if they don't hand over the merchandise and leave. They don't, and I call the police. I let them know that there's two people who won't leave the store, and they say they'll send a car right away. At this point, the mom just stands there smugly and keeps telling me that I'll enjoy prison life, and that racists like myself don't live more than 2 days. I don't engage and keep as far away from them as possible. It takes the cops a while to arrive. It's just one car, but there's 2 cops and a K9 unit. They walk in and the mom grabs her son by the arm and starts talking in Spanish. So I have no idea what's being said, but it probably wasn't great. One officer talks to them while the other talks to me. He asked a couple of questions like, are there cameras? Are you here alone? Did they make threats? Etc. I tell him that the kid wanted to leave without paying for cigarettes, about the comments, about the cameras, and they can see everything, and other basic details. Things are going well until I hear the guy start yelling in Spanish. I look over and the cop is pulling the cuffs off his belt. It turns out the son had a fake license that he handed to the cop, and I suppose that's enough reason to be arrested. The guy then hits the cop in the face and bolts from the gas station, his mom screaming after him in Spanish. Both cops rush him, and one gets their dog from the car, and all 3 book it after the kid. The mom runs out and drives off, leaving me alone and shaken up. The cops come back with a happy-looking dog and one pissed-looking guy, who happens to have a bite on his arm. They basically throw the kid into the squad car, tell me to just have the manager call them when he gets a chance, and they leave. This is exactly why gas stations should have 2 attendants at all times, especially at night. Like, yeah, I know it's a lot less busy during the night and you only need 1 person, but it's definitely safer with 2 people, especially when people like this come in. Great parenting, mom. She definitely deserves the Mom of the Year award for letting her son openly say that to someone and then being a complete idiot for hitting a cop. So several years ago, a friend got married. We all decamped to a beautiful part of the UK for the wedding, and it all seemed fine and dandy until the speech. The father of the bride stood up to do a speech, and by God, did he make the most of it. He kicked off by presenting us with the old adage of children are the future, as if it was some new amazing concept that he alone had the insight to appreciate. He then immediately dropped that thought to praise his daughter, her stepmother, and especially himself for raising such a wonderful daughter. Now, much of the time was spent detailing how much money he'd spent on the wedding and how much work was involved on his part, and how without him, this wedding would not have been possible. Yay, him. So, the best bit was when he drew our attention to the cake, and also to the receipts relating to its cost that he had framed and put on display right next to it. So after an hour, no exaggeration, of this bragging and self-praise with no mention of his new son-in-law or his family, he suddenly seemed to remember his initial theme. He declared once again that children are the future. He then left the room, to applause from his close friends and family and bemusement from everybody else. Half an hour later, he reappears, dressed as an Arab sheik. To top off the look, he had blackened up with boot polish. He called for the attention of everybody who had not yet been transfixed by the sudden appearance of something so incredible. He then informed us that as children are the future, all adults present will have to show their appreciation by giving each and every kid £2. There were around 30 kids in the room, so every one of us was apparently expected to give away 60 pounds in loose change that we all had in our pockets, to kids that most of us had never met. He then led the kids in a conga of capitalism, dancing around the room like an idiot, stopping at every table so money could be extorted. It won't surprise you to learn that the marriage did not last long, a little under 4 months, and that the whole charade appears to have been a calculated attempt to take my friend for half of everything he owned, with the father apparently having prepared paperwork for the divorce prior to the wedding. In the end, this ruse failed, and she left with a token of payoff of a couple £1,000s. Now here comes the craziest part. Brace yourselves. All that's gone before pales in comparison. Once the divorce was underway, my friend no longer felt bound by the vow he had made to not reveal his in-laws' oddest secrets, which he gleefully revealed to me. So, they genuinely believe themselves to be the earthly form of some kind of pan-dimensional rabbit beings. So on weekends, they would travel about the countryside in search of their cotton-tailed friends, whom they would approach and converse with. They then would head home and relay the information gleaned from the field agent bunnies to a pair of small rabbit statues that stand on top of an upright piano and are presumably some sort of interdimensional comms device. Needless to say, I think my friend had a lucky escape. Run, rabbit, run. What in the freaking world? I definitely did not expect that ending there. I'm trying to picture a whole family going out to the wild talking to bunnies, and it sounds like such a ridiculous thing to do. As for the dad's wedding speech, holy crap. Like, yeah, you got money, good for you, but to frame the cost of the cake and put it beside the wedding cake so everybody can see how much you spent, I don't even know what to say to that. So we have a little cabin in a vacation place by the ocean. It's gorgeous there, and a lot of families like to come. We invite friends and their kids to come for free, of course, but we do not rent out our place. So last summer, all these kids started to show up wanting to play with our kid stuff. I thought that was okay. New friends and all that, sure. They stayed, they played, they ate everything in sight. And then this kid, who's about 10-ish, starts to show up every day. He doesn't talk except to tell us what food he wants, and my kids don't want him around because he breaks their toys and throws stuff at them. Then on day 4, people who we don't know come by with him, and she says she can pick him up at 1 o'clock today, and oh, you should know that he can't eat sulfites. And then she starts to walk away. Now, at this point, I'm stunned and said, "Hi, and you are?" The parents said, "Oh, we're renting a place down the road." I then repeat, "And you are?" "I'm his mom." I told her, "Yeah, I'm sorry, but we're gonna go away for the day with our kids on our friend's boat, and we can't watch him." The mom says, "Okay, great, he can just hang out here at your place." I told her, "No, we're not gonna be here, and there's an ocean right there. It's not safe to leave a 10-year-old unsupervised." The mom then says, "Look, the person I'm renting from told me that you'd be happy to have our kid over. We're paying a lot of money for this vacation, and my boyfriend and I are walking down to the beer fest a few miles away. Just take him with you." I told her that we're on vacation too, with our own kids, and we want to do stuff with them, so I'm sorry I can't watch your boy. The mom then moves in and says, "Are you saying I don't love my kid? You don't understand what it's like. We deserve time too. Just watch him for a couple of hours, that's all you need to do. You rich people are all the same. You're selfish." I told her my dad built this place 30 years ago when nobody was here. The land costs next to nothing. We're not starving and are very lucky, but rich is one thing we're not. Your kid's not welcome here and you need to go. So, long story short, they both leave and we never saw them again. It turns out the lady who rented the place also owned several others and had mentioned that our place was a free babysitting service as a perk of renting her place. The lady had told them that we had been providing free babysitting for her tenants while she charged them $2,000 a week for a cabin. So here's a little revenge I got. The muffler came off our generator and I built a large woodshed as close to the nearest rental cabin as I could, where I enjoy using my oldest and loudest chainsaw very early in the morning, following any parties that verge on epic. We posted our babysitting rates at the path closest to our place, with no takers, and the kids now get to choose who they spend time with. So I know the mom came off as pretty entitled, but is it really her fault though when the lady who owned the cabin said that OP provides a free babysitting service? What would you guys do if you were in OP shoes? I definitely know that I would have confronted that woman for using me as a perk to rent out her $2,000 a week cabin. holy crap, some people. And that, my friends, brings us to another end of our /entitled people. Guys, thanks for hanging out with me today and listening to some more of these wacky stories. If you missed the last episode I did, I'll link it right here. An entitled Karen dines and dashes from a restaurant and wants the waitress jailed for harassing her to pay. Ridiculous. Guys, check it out if you haven't, and I'll see you guys in the next one. I love you.